Yes, I am late because I've picked up very nasty habits from our dear friend Gaming with ADHD, Brian. To always run late, basically. To be very disorganized. He'll love me for that. But it's true.
And I had to part my hair so that it didn't look like I was going bald.
I'm kind of thinning on the sides here, so I'm kind of getting a... But yeah. Still got all the hair, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got that magnificent beard.
I'm trying. I'm not going to be happy until I'm Gandalf. Of course, the biggest issue there is I can't have long hair anymore. It just is too irritating for me. The beard, I can, no problem. It's just, yeah.
So Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White?
Gandalf the Chartreuse.
The what?
Gandalf the Chartreuse.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
Gandalf the White.
Gandalf the White.
Yeah. I mean, since that's going to be our topic today is the white books, right?
Yep. Is that a White Claw?
No, not this early in the morning. No, it's just it's a white monster.
Oh, we're going very white today, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. So
let me ask a question up front because I kind of have an idea of where you're going with it.
Yeah.
For folks just tuning in, we're going to be kind of exploring one specific book. But what in a nutshell, what is the white books overall? What would you consider that?
In general, the white books are basically
what's the game system?
Okay, so this is for Monte Cook Games' Cypher system. You've basically got the core red book, which is basically the entire rule book. That's really all you need to run. Once you kind of learn how they have designed the system, it's really easy to just modulate and make shit up that works at your table, make homebrew rules, make homebrew mechanics, use the mechanics that you want, don't use the mechanics that you don't want. It's in a manner of speaking, it's kind of like the Unity engine for a video game.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of all inclusive and allows you to kind of, like you said, modularize.
Yeah, like you could, using the Unity example, you could just as easily make a, what do you call it? One of those match 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you can make a strategy game, as much as you can make a, running first-person shooter.
Right.
It's kind of that kind of thing that you can do with it. The white books go into more of the more genre themes and genre styles for the system.
Like settings?
They usually do include like a small setting in it.
Okay.
But
it is more genre.
Yeah, it is more genre. Okay. Like, for example, one of the second one I actually covered was Stay Alive, which is a horror one. There's no specific setting in there.
Gotcha.
It's more of just like, hey, here's some new mechanics, here's some new, as they call them, modules that you can plug into your game to just make it even worse for the players.
Right. And then they also had one that was for the Wild West.
Yep. High Noon at Midnight. High Noon one just came out. Yep.
But the one that we're going to focus on today is
Cyberpunk.
More cyberpunk, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is their new cyberpunk genre book called Neon Rain. And I'm going to say this up front.
Yep.
The book itself, information, new mechanics, new systems, new player stuff, new GM stuff, all that stuff, perfectly fine, no faults, absolutely on brand with the usual type of stuff that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, not having a go at that. What this is about is kind of two things, but they kind of interconnect in a way. At least they connect in my head anyway.
Right.
So the first one is a rather, in my opinion, too frequent use of content and consent warnings in the book. And again, this is for Cyberpunk. And
So in other words, you're talking about stuff like...
Yes. And to make sure everyone knows that it's about mature, topics. And I'm gonna come back to that in a second.
Sure.
And the second one is on their use of examples and inspirations for Cyberpunk. As someone who started with Shadowrun with my RPG hobby, their inspirations irk me to a huge degree that it's just like, your inspirations, if someone comes into like Cyberpunk somehow with this book and looks at their list of examples with inspirations, they're going to see a list that is legitimately worse. Not worse, so it is. It's what I would expect the response to be if you put into Google search what is a popular list of Cyberpunk titles. Like,
and to paint a full picture, Shadowrun, and your typical Shadow or Cyberpunk scenarios, those typically deal with very mature themes. Yeah.
Yes. Like on the last Talkin Drek, dear chummer friend of mine, Sax, said that, in one of his games, his players literally went into a black market den where they were selling body parts, and the players actively participated in both buying and selling body parts,
which is typical for a Shadowrun game. Yes. That's actually tame. That's tame. I mean, that's almost part of character creation, if you will.
Exactly. And another example I want to give, because one of the examples that they give, and I swear to God, I cannot find where the fuck the page that I'm looking for is gone, but one of the actual examples that they do give is Ghost in the Shell, right? The original anime movie.
Yep.
However, if anyone has seen Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex first season, that's the TV series the first TV series that they did. Episode 10. I dare anyone to go watch episode 10 of that first season. It's called Jungle Cruise. It's not a jungle cruise. Let me put it that way. Just like I legitimately don't want to specifically say what happens in that episode, because I really do feel like it could get my channel taken down.
Is it kind of, I mean, does that kind of describe it a little bit?
Um, if the person you were doing that to was connected into your cyber brain and being forced to watch through your eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
We'll
And
put it
even
that way.
and even if you don't have that kind of stuff in your game, you've still got, that corporate. There's usually that corporate dystopian
Sure.
theme to it. Like, Blade Runner basically set the stage. Neuromancer
Right.
set the stage for the cyberpunk
So,
genre. So,
okay. So I think I know exactly where you're about to go with all of this. Do you have a list of some of the other points of inspiration that they've used for what is the name of this specific white book? It's
Neon Rain.
Neon Rain. Okay.
Yep.
Do you have a list of their inspirations?
Yes, I did, and I can't. Yes, finally found it. Okay. So it's divided up into two sources:
Mm-hmm.
classic and recent.
Okay, let's check the classic out first.
Okay, so the classics include Akira, the
Okay.
anime. Yep.
Yep.
Blade Runner.
Yep.
Ghost in the Shell.
Mm-hmm.
The Matrix.
Okay.
Neuromancer.
Okay.
Oh, that one specifically points out novel.
Yeah.
Snow Crash. And
Not familiar with that one.
And Strange Days. I'm not familiar with either of those either.
Okay. I know Strange Days, but I'm not familiar with the other one. Okay, so by all rights, most of those I would say are somewhat tame. There might be a little bit of body modification element in Blade Runner. Ghost in the Shell, of course, can get pretty hardcore. Strange Days. I mean, it's got some violent stuff in it. Okay, so what are those are all considered classics, right? Okay, so what is modern?
Doesn't it just hurt that The Matrix is classic?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I would even. I mean, I guess technically, yeah. I guess you could categorize Matrix as cyberpunk only because you've got their implants and stuff. But I mean, that's not any more cyberpunk than say Locutus from Star Trek, or the Borg from Star Trek. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. That's a weird one to include in their Matrix, but okay, that's fine. So what are they going with modern? What?
Okay, so recent sources include Altered Carbon.
Okay.
Andor, as in Star Wars Andor. Chappie. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I'll give them that one. A novel which I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce, but Noor.
Noir. Okay.
The Peripheral. It's a TV series, apparently.
Yeah, I know that one. That's I think that's like on Apple TV or something.
Okay, don't have that. The video game Stray.
It's an awesome game, but okay. I don't see how that's considered cyberpunk in any way, shape, or form, but all right.
A video game called Transistor.
Not familiar with that one.
And specifically pointing out season 3 of Westworld.
Okay, so I am currently going through, this will be my 5th time to watch Westworld, and we are currently on episode 4 of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would. That's a tough one to justify as what I know as cyberpunk. It's got technology in it, but I wouldn't necessarily equate that to cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm familiar with the original movies, Westworld and Future World.
Yeah.
I would not have labeled those necessarily cyberpunk.
Right.
I can see the dystopian kind of sort
Absolutely,
of
yes.
aspect,
Yes,
the
absolutely
Android
that.
aspect, but
Yes.
yeah, and so that irks me, right?
Yeah.
But what what hurts next is after that we go across to the next 2 pages. I should really just fucking bring this up. Hold on. Share screen. That way you can see what I'm looking through at the same time. Okay, so what we're looking at the same time, right? So up here was our sources.
It's got a great layout, I'll say that.
Yeah, like the design
Yeah.
of the book, like fucking on par, right?
Yeah.
As I said,
Good artwork too.
yeah, like I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying like how the design team, like graphics,
Yeah, it's not a
any of
slam
that.
on the mechanics or layout or anything. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in here, right up here, relevant media featuring androids includes. Now, this is not meant to be pointing out Cyberpunk, just relevant media about androids. The Battlestar Galactica 2004 series. That's fair.
Okay.
I can understand the android aspect.
Sure.
Blade Runner and Blade Runner
Yeah.
2049, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep. Bubblegum Crisis.
Okay. I mean,
My biggest problem here is that that's Cyberpunk. That entire media is Cyberpunk. Why is it here and not on the other page?
Okay.
Questionable content, a webcomic series. I've got no idea what that is. Space Above and Beyond. Now, I really enjoy that series.
I'm not familiar with that one either.
It does briefly have synths in it. That's true. But fucking yeah. No, Grumpy, I do not believe that at any point this fucking thing ever mentions Appleseed. And that's bullshit.
What is that? Scroll back up. Just what is that last one? Westworld.
Oh yeah, and Westworld, the 2016 TV series.
Okay, so they've got Westworld in 2 spots so far,
and Blade Runner in 2 spots. Yep.
Blade Runner in 2 spots. Okay.
Yep. Over here, this is just talking about cryptids and horror in your
sure
thing. It's just a reference to a thing in the book, and this is explaining that Siren Head is a fictional monster creepypasta, and then some other stuff that's book related. But yeah.
Okay. So if you're going to have cryptids in there, I'd think they'd include X-Files as inspiration, like a monster of the week.
Well, yeah, you would think that would be a good idea. Or maybe even like Delta Green.
Yeah.
Great RPG for that kind of stuff. Imagine Delta Green in a cyberpunk setting.
Have they ever produced like a white book version of like Delta Green? Like that type of a genre?
Not specifically. Okay. You could like mix and match horror, modern,
and this one, I guess.
Yeah, for that kind of effect. But High Noon at Midnight too also has a massive layout of cryptids in it, so that would also be a good addition.
In the chat, Thruxus asks, Neon Rain, this is Wylock's game, right?
No, this is Monty Cook Games. So yeah, and we keep going down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it finally does mention Shadowrun here.
Okay.
But again, it mentions it in connection with fantasy species in a cyberpunk setting, not that it's also cyberpunk. You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Does it mention Total Recall as inspiration in any of this?
I don't remember seeing Total Recall either.
Okay.
They've got.
I'm just curious because I kind of know exactly where you're going to ultimately funnel all of this to, and so I'm trying to paint a picture in my mind as to where all of this is coming from, and also for the viewers, so that they can kind of see a full picture too.
And like
when you do that big reveal of what this is.
But then you've got like Pacific Rim mentioned here. Now I can kind of see it in like the first movie, like being set around like that version of Hong Kong. It's very neon lights and stuff. But really? And oh yeah, the movie Chronicle.
Chronicle.
That found footage style movie from 2012. Teenagers get like superpowers, and then they have a Dragon Ball Z flying battle.
Yeah.
He was thinking Neon Skies. They also slightly mention Looper here as well, but again, like.
So before you jump to the main core thing, I'm going to reserve one specific question. So give me a warning or a heads up before you jump to that, because I want to ask that one question first.
I mean, you can ask your question now. That's fine.
Okay. I actually keep going. I'm going to see. I want to see what so when you get the physical book, and I realize you've got the PDF here, but the physical book, you on the back cover usually has like a description of what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious to see, that. Can you zoom in on just that panel?
Yep. Hold on.
I kind of want to see what specifically. Okay. Holographic ads, fortified skyscrapers loom over the city's decaying streets. Criminal gangs battle in alleyways, while above the fray, faceless megacorps control political, economic, and military power. Cybernetics are as common as mobile phones, but even so, life on the streets is brutal and short. The line between survival and anonymous death often hangs on just one more questionable job. Okay, so that's almost direct from Blade Runner. Take your cipher system game to the cyberpunk realm. Okay, with Neon Rain. Okay, so it specifically cites cyberpunk realm.
Mm-hmm.
Install cybernetic upgrades. Use virtual reality to hack into corpo mainframes and dodge guardians and traps built by hostile AIs. Smuggle designer drugs or tweak your own body chemistry and risk addiction and death. Chase and be chased at breakneck speeds on futuristic highways under a night sky. Okay, I can see several genres mixed in, or not genres, but several of their inspirations mixed into that.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the book, you'll find advice and tools for building your own intense cyberpunk setting, including optional rules such as hacking and ultimate damage, creature ciphers, artifacts. New foci, descriptors, and other options. Build a furious solo who packs chromed heat, an engram tech who explores cyberspace, or an addicted hotshot who has a custom drone. Stealing mysterious creatures, NPCs ready to be dropped into any encounter. Police officer Tyndall, a ruthless assassin, black market. Okay. Ready to play setting. That includes cybernetics, megacorporations, street gangs, weird internet, ready to use encounter locations. Okay. So that picture painted.
Mm-hmm.
What is the chief complaint? What is the focus? What is the one blurb in this that
So it comes sporadically throughout the book, as well as the running a cyberpunk game. So the GM section, which is, first of all, it paints the idea of these things being cyberpunk.
And
quite frankly,
specifically, and it specifically states to take your cipher system game into the cyberpunk realm.
Yeah. So this white book is very much a cyberpunk genre-based book, right?
Right.
I find its inspirations to be heavily lacking in that regard. Did you want this stayed up, or do you want me to take it down?
No, it's your show.
Okay. But there we go. But at the same time, like, it's not like encouraging a very wide idea of what cyberpunk can be in those examples. And when it does talk about other things like Shadowrun, like Bubblegum Crisis, it's not painting them as being cyberpunk themselves, but rather inspirations to inject into a cyberpunk game, like what it did with Battlestar Galactica, things like that.
Right.
So,
like, okay, so for example, I will say, since you still have it up on screen, in that second paragraph where it says smuggle designer drugs or tweak your own body chemistry, and risk addiction or death. So when I'm reading this back description, I am listening to the inspirations that were listed previously. And one of those was Westworld, specifically season 3. And that is definitely something that happens in season 3. There is a designer drug that is featured prominently throughout that season. And the guy, not Aaron Paul. Oh, damn it. Paul, the dude that plays Jesse in Breaking Bad. The chat.
Isn't that Aaron Paul?
Aaron Paul. Okay. I was right. Aaron Paul. Anyway, I get him. For some reason, my mind doesn't work right. And I get him and the guy that started off with YouTube and, kind of became.
Or like Logan Paul or.
Logan Paul, yeah. I get, for some reason, I get those two names mixed up. Anyway, Aaron Paul is in it, and that almost describes his character. That's what's going on with him. And there's one very fantastic episode that just, you go through the whole gamut of this drug, and it's just a really cool episode. But anyway, so I can see where they're funneling their inspirations into this description. Don't know exactly where I was going with that. Sorry, viewers.
I'd say TBI, but I don't think you have one.
No, I think what I think the point that I was trying to make is, I'm looking at their inspiration list, their list of inspirations, and am trying to connect dots to where their overall description of the game is coming from. So when you say that, like Bubblegum Crisis, that they've taken that element or an element of that show or graphic novel and have used that as inspiration for this book, that's the dots that I'm trying to connect. So I can see that.
Yeah, but in those cases, like with Bubblegum Crisis, it's not listed as being part of cyberpunk inspiration. It's listed as being a reference for like shows with androids in them. And it's like, well, Yes, but it's also a cyberpunk title of its own. You know, the whole franchise, you can look at, you know, the original series, the 2040 series, 80 Police Files, Parasite Dolls, like that whole universe couldn't be more cyberpunk. You know, it basically plays along the same lines as Ghost in the Shell or Appleseed or anything else like that, with those kind of cyberpunk themes. You know, mega corporations, body horror, or not necessarily body horror, but like body dysmorphia.
Alteration.
Alteration. Yeah. But it's where it's the context of it, right? It's not calling, like, it's not listing Shadowrun, Bubblegum Crisis as cyberpunk. It's listing them as sources for inspiration, or as sources for reference for adding this or that into your cyberpunk game, which irks me.
Well, because there's more option there than just painting it as a robot game, robot entertainment.
Yeah. And like another thing that isn't listed there, which 100% cyberpunk, Alita Battle Angel.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, well, I'm undoubtedly sure that I've just set off someone in chat nerding out that I've mentioned Alita Battle Angel, because it has a weirdly massive fan base, and I don't.
And I guess I've equally set them off for me not knowing anything about it. So that balances.
Yeah. But like, and again, going back to what they considered cyberpunk, I would consider Akira to be on the same like level as The Matrix. It doesn't.
Sure.
Like a lot of its problems, like a lot of the turmoil and stuff in the movie doesn't really cover it, but in the manga series, it's government and religious based stuff. It's not really corporate dystopian type of vibe and stuff. And there's also not a, I can't really say this.
I'm interjecting. Might as well have included like the movie Tron in this somewhere.
And you know,
I mean,
and you know what annoys the crap out of me by you saying that? It's funny because Numenera, their flagship title, that has more references to cyberpunk titles than this book does.
Really?
Yes.
And okay, as a small tangent.
Yeah.
What is the core of Numenera about?
So the core of Numenera is basically was it Clark or Asimov who said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic? Basically, same deal. It's a million years in the future, and there's been 8, 9 previous, who knows, previous great civilizations. Not all of them were human, who inhabited what we currently call Earth, but it's not called Earth in the future. Sure. And yeah, so the world is just kind of weird and littered and gets frequented by all kinds of weird things, or at least weird from the perspective of, hey, humans just randomly popped back into existence like 2,000-3,000 years ago. Yeah, have fun with that.
Right.
I mean, you know, there's something called the is it the Metal Wind? Shit, I can't remember what it's called exactly. But basically, it's an out of control terraforming nano swarm that just kind of blazes along the supercontinent now. And if you get caught in its wake, God knows what could happen to you. It's literally a dice roll. You could come out with cool cybernetic, like cool,
Right.
like synthesized metal arm, or you could be turned inside out and your character's just dead.
Right.
Yep.
That's always fun.
Oh yeah.
I like what Grumpy says. We had cyberpunk, then steampunk, which was around based on the late 1800s, then diesel punk, which was the first half of the 1900s. I predict we'll have flower punk based on the 1960s, followed by punk from the 1970s. I like that.
You forgot atom punk and space punk.
Yeah. What about goth punk?
Oh, dude, that
Like
is
goth punk.
That's semi-related to Victorian punk. They are both really, really cool. I am way too into this.
Okay. So my mind immediately went to like the Return of the Living Dead. That's kind of goth punk to me. You know, they're all hanging out in the graveyard. Save for that one girl, she's like mega preppy, but you know, every punk group has to have one prep, right?
Oh, jeez. So you're throwing me off my swagger now.
Sorry. Okay, let's get back into the vitriol and the hate.
Yes. I'm in my zone in that. But yeah, so that.
So do you think that them not including certain things in the cyberpunk inspiration list, do you think that could have anything to do with just editing? Like I'm looking at it from more of a technical printing point of view. You know, so for example, we've just kind of run out of space. You know, so unfortunately, yes. I mean, we probably have 200 more things that we could have added in as inspiration. And some of them may have been more important than others, but for editing reasons, we just have to cut some content. Or do you see blatant areas where, hey, yeah, we could have squeezed in another sentence here, or
so I would give you that they may have like run out of space or whatever, but one thing that I mean, you can see right here just in how this is formatted, you can see that Monte Cook Games likes to make sure that
there
could
have been
sidebars.
I mean, there's easily some additional space there. Yeah.
And that's one thing. However, I'm going to just now slide into the second half of my problem here, which is, I don't want to say obnoxious, but very frequent use of content and consent warnings in this book. Which, if you'll notice, when we started back on this section, what's the first thing that comes up? Consent.
I was going to say the letter S, but okay.
Yes, the letter S for Seraphis.
There you
go. Seraphis is spicy right now.
Can you center that?
So, like, I will change it back to this. Yep. Oh, no, that's too far. Okay, so yeah.
Well, let's read that.
Okay.
Cyberpunk is a genre that often deals with mature topics such as sex, drugs, mental health, religion, poverty, and body dysmorphia. I'd say that's accurate, yes. it's quite possible that some of your players may be sensitive to such topics and may not want to play in a game that features them. Well, then they don't have to play in the game that features them. It's important to discuss this sort of thing with your players beforehand, rather than springing it on them at the start of the campaign or in the middle of a session. So everyone can make an informed decision about whether they want to consent to those elements, play something else, or skip the campaign. Remember that the point of playing an RPG is to have fun with your friends, and making players feel uncomfortable in ways they don't like isn't fun or friendly. Okay, my 2 cents, that if that's all the book says about it, I don't necessarily have issue with that. That's all, to me, that's all basic information anyway, that I will present that to my players on the front end of any new campaign that we start anyway. I'll let them know that, hey, there's going to be, although mature topics such as sex, I've never included that in any of my games. I don't need I don't need to include that for me to get my rocks off. To me, it's not an important element. Sex is an important element, yes, but not in a role-playing game. Not when I'm sitting down with, a group of 6 other guys. I don't need them to play out their sexual fantasy for me. That's not what I'm here for. So that's a topic that I generally will avoid. Maybe because it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know. But it's unnecessary, in my opinion, in a role-playing game. But that said, horror is definitely going to be a big part of what's in most of my games. Blood, guts, violence, especially in a cyberpunk setting. The topic of consent right there, that one little paragraph, I don't see that as a make or break issue on the top end of things. But now I do notice that it's got a hyperlink in that one little blue word there. Is that a hyperlink, or is that just notated? Like, what happens if you mouse over it?
No, that's just blue light.
Okay.
Blue
So
highlighted.
So it's not taking it.
Here.
It doesn't take you to another set. Oh, I see. I got you. For more information about consent in gaming, download the free consent in gaming PDF at. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. And I would agree with you if this was all. But
I have a feeling it's not. Okay.
It's not, because it's also at the front of the book. It's also in the section for cybernetics. It's also in the section for drugs.
Say it once and let me decide. Let me and my players decide. Not cram it. I mean, I'm going to have to be with you on this one. Let me decide. Give me the tool up front. Sure, I have no issues with that. But if it's going to continuously pop up in every section, I don't know. That's a little excessive.
And so, the reason why I wanted to do this stream is because what ended up happening as I was trying to go through this to write up my script
for your actual review.
I usually go through it chapter by chapter and then write up my little bit about it, go back and forth like that. That way it's more fresh in my mind. I know what, my specifics that I want to hit, etc. And what I found was, I think at the moment, the script for this is about 6 pages.
Healthy.
And if I cut out all my ranting about how many times consent pops up or content warnings pop up, and keep in mind, I haven't even gotten to the part about the inspirations for Cyberpunk.
Oh, wow.
In my script. I could knock out 3 or 4 pages of my current script just by removing all of the rants, which is this was quite frankly Gaming with ADHD's idea to make the stream the reference for my rants, so I can take it out of my script, so that I've still got
that's a
way
brilliant
to kind of
concept. I
address
like
this.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I
because
personally, my 2 cents, I would definitely have an element of rant in there, because if it's important to you, it's important to your viewers, you know. But if 4 of your pages of your 6-page script is rants, yeah, I mean, consolidate that.
yeah, and yeah, because it was basically taking over
I get that.
my script, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I'm not only am I taking up massive amounts of time of this, what's going to be recording of this video, but it's more I feel like I'm attacking them, and I'm not trying to be like attacking them. I want to point out that whether this is like a American thing, whether this is this part of like this kind of socio-political grouping or whatever this is, it doesn't work for the rest of the world.
Gotcha.
Like,
and see, I don't know what the climate for this type of stuff is outside of my country, you know. And that's honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons that I enjoy doing, you know, these live streams with you on Sunday mornings, is because, you know, we've got you in Australia, we've got another that's in Canada, we've got another that's in Europe, and I think actually, didn't you just recently add a new person that's also Europe? Or maybe that's another. No, maybe that's another person in Bear's group.
Doc Flamingo?
No, he's Florida.
Yeah,
he's.
I don't think so.
I don't remember anyway, but that's what I like about it is you know, it gives me exposure to thoughts specific to, you know, to the gaming industry. It gives me exposure to thoughts of others outside of my area, and I personally think that makes me, as a person that runs the games, it makes me a better dungeon master, game master, storyteller, whatever you want to call it. Because obviously your experiences with playing the games are much vastly different than mine. And, you know, in terms of your worldview, in terms of your political view, in terms of shit like, you know, consent view, you know, it's in a lot of books, but I can't say that. I mean, I'm trying to think right now of like some of the most, like the most recent D&D books. I'm sure it's got to have something mentioned in there in the player's handbook or the DM's guide. It's got to have something mentioned in it, but I'll be honest with you. It's, for me, something that I just gloss over because it doesn't pertain to me specifically, you know? So it's like, I guess I have the mental big black magic marker that I can just kind of scroll, you know, just edit out the stuff that doesn't pertain to me and move on. So that's almost what I would say. I would say, kind of like with what Gaming with ADHD suggests, use the Talkin Drek for your subjective stuff. Use your core video for all of the objective stuff, you know. Keep it to facts, keep it to, you know, I mean, I would definitely include the term, you know, or the topic of consent, and that it's, you know, if you feel it's overly used in it, I would definitely make mention of that. Rant for a minute if you need to, you know, but otherwise just keep it, you know, keep it factual. But okay, that all said, with consent, what is the next entry? What's the next one in here?
So what comes after consent?
Yeah.
Foreplay.
Oh,
Concepts and themes.
Evocative. Wait. Just scroll back up. Scroll back up. Keep going. Okay, consent. I'm looking at the blue heading, right? Consent.
Mhm.
Consent. Okay, now go to the next big blue setting. Concepts and themes, and then evocative concepts.
Mhm.
I mean, the term evocative, that's I don't know, that's hubba, Oh boy.
Yeah, but then what's the first thing after it says that? Dystopia.
Yeah. The world is not good, safe, or a happy place. Joy is fleeting. And for some people, it's only achieved with alcohol, drugs, thrill seeking, and lashing out at people. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's part of why they are. Well, okay. Let me reserve my thought. Let me see the next consent based area.
Well, I can't remember further on from here. We can go back to the drugs, though.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, and I just want to point out, I love this. I love this. Like, pretty much every blank page, what
It's
would
like a
be...
little mini ad.
Yeah, it's a mini ad. And when you go to each of the like sections, it's done up like it's a screen. And what do you have right here? Oh, look, it's another ad. And then you go down to your tables. Like,
that's cool. Yeah.
I want to be fair. I do really love the book. In all the like actual stuff it gives you for Cypher System,
Yeah.
it is 100% enjoyable. It's just this shit.
Is that the Infinity Gauntlet?
No, but it could be.
And the Time Stone?
Oh, yeah, and even more ads because, yeah.
No, that's kind of fun though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, hell, dude, you could take, like, let's look at this ad right here real quick. The one that's on this specific page. Need a gun in a hurry? Zerosh Blank, untraceable. The Zerosh Blank is inexpensive, disposable, and now, thanks to its revolutionary untraceable tech, completely anonymous. Think about just putting something like that in a game. That right there alone is easily a one-shot adventure. I mean, just taking the ad itself is easily a one-shot adventure. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the zine that goes along with Neon Rain, Cash and Chrome, actually does like use this as a way to create a hook for your players to do something.
Wow.
Or even have it as like a point in the background so that if their weapon jams or something, to quickly do like hit up on their comm link or go to the nearest Zerosh Blank vending machine to just grab one of these disposable guns. Yeah, they're only going to work for like 5-6 shots, but if that's all you need,
right,
bang bang bang, throw it, run the fuck away.
I mean, it sounds to me that MCG is really knocking stuff out of the park. I mean, they're churning out these white books pretty quickly, and I mean, aside from the whole consent thing, it looks visually stunning. It and as you're scrolling through, I'm kind of taking in a little bit of information. Wait, hold on, scroll up a little bit more. Okay. Okay, never mind. I saw the cancel you stunner. I thought cancel you. I thought that was specifically talking about like cancel culture or something. Anyway, sorry. I mean, that would have been on topic, you know. But as I'm reading through some of the stuff that you're scrolling through, I mean, it looks like it's very well thought out. And again, the layout is good. So I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I want to wait till we get to the next consent thing because, like I said, I think I have a thought regarding all of it.
I just wish it was easier to
Sex. Hold on, scroll up a little bit more right there. Sex. Typical fee for about an hour's worth of consensual sexual activity with a sex worker. Elite services cost anywhere from 2 to 10 times as much. I mean, that's pretty. Holy shit! I mean, honestly, you would never find anything like that in a D&D book. I mean, that's a pretty.
Well, not since 3rd edition.
Well, yeah. I mean, to pardon the pun, but that's a pretty in-your-face explicit description there. Okay. Keep going. My thought is about to become a little more solid.
And I'm just double checking. I'm pretty sure nowhere here do they actually have a. Oh wait, no, there we go.
Warning: consuming more than one snack bar in a 24-hour period tends to cause severe gastric distress.
So, okay, that one was a joke, and I
yeah,
only just remembered that one was there.
That's great. Slut water?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What? Hold on. 1 day's worth of heavily filtered clean water with additives for flavor and enhancing stamina and sexual prowess. A MuxCom product. Slut water?
And again, this is, really juxtaposed with the whole, we're going to keep reminding you that, there's content that.
So, okay, yeah, keep going. I think my thought is pretty solidified here.
Yeah.
So I saw a vape pen listed. Burner phones.
Phones,
yeah.
No. Where the fuck were the drugs? There. I say that just as, yeah. Okay. No, where were we? Wait, really? Man, I'm going insane. I swear to God there was one here.
What about in chapter... GM can find more detailed information in Chapter 9, Optional Rules, page 98. So where's page 98? Oh, I guess that's where it starts, is on page 9. I gotcha.
Yeah, we're on page 98 now.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Wait, shits?
Oh, so that's their version of cyberpsychosis.
Okay.
Which, again, for this guy, it's very...
Okay, the addiction, overdose, and recovery game mechanics in this chapter are a way for the GM to handle in-game drug use by PCs and NPCs. They are not meant to actually simulate real life or represent the experiences of people with substance use disorders. Okay. Drugs can produce amazing effects, sometimes similar or even surpassing what a cipher can do. However, drugs have several disadvantages compared to ciphers, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Activating drugs, yeah. Overdoses. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. So I, my honest 2 cents here. I keep hinting at my thought process,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So I do see some extraordinarily mature themes in this that are done and presented, however, in a very, I don't want to say whimsical because that's not quite the right term for it, but in a very um, off the cuff way.
Hmm.
Okay. So I can see it being an important element to have PSAs, public service announcements, kind of worded throughout the book. Let's be real for a moment. In your entire history of playing role-playing games, how many unstable people have you run across? And I don't mean like the eccentric, typical, stereotypical role player. I mean unstable. You know, somebody that insists on having exactly their way, that shows up dressed to the hilt mentally, um, and at the slight, it's the one that you have to fudge rolls for out of fear of if you roll a 1 and their character dies, you know that they're going to mentally break and throw dice at the wall, pick up your pet, slam them onto the table, flip the table. I mean, I'm talking about that type of a player.
In 27 years?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay. Now this, I've encountered it a few times in my life. That type of a person, that type of mentality in my life, I've encountered it a few times. And I'm wondering, again, you mentioned this a minute ago about if it's an American thing. Money Cook Games is an American-based game.
Yeah.
You know, it's written, by an American. And I without delving too deep into a subtopic here, I can tell you that the mental health in America is not good. Again, without going too far down that rabbit hole. And I just am very curious if, like what you pointed out earlier, because that is different in, how the rest of the world sees it is different than how we see it here. I wonder if that plays into why some of that stuff was included, because those are some very mature themes. Slut water, my God. I mean, I think it's awesome. But what I find awesome about it is the fact that they had the balls to include something like slut water in the game, or at least call it that. Even though it has nothing to do with one being a slut. Yes, it does mention, about sexual prowess, but just the term itself.
Just quickly, I didn't get to show you, but there is a cybernetic that's called the Member 5000 or the Member 2000. It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is, because it has mature stuff like that in it, I can easily understand why they would have the consent stuff attached to it. Specifically because of those mentally unstable individuals and I'm trying to be very careful with my words because I don't want to offend anybody. But I can see that because of that type of player that I personally have encountered over the years. Of course, Tori states that she's not seen that type of player herself, but has known people who have had those types of players. And I'm sure that maybe my case is a little bit different because, I do play with a large variety over the years. I have played with a large variety of people.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I had a game store years upon years ago, and I mean, it was, your everyday person, your complete total stranger could come in, sit down, and play.
Mm.
And so I think just by that alone, I was probably exposed to hundreds, if not thousands, over that period of running that store. And now where I'm at now, we have I run games for a local college, and every semester, we have new students show up, we have old students leave. But I mean, think about that. It's every 6 months or every 4 months, you're encountering a whole new group of people. So that's maybe 20 new players every semester.
Mm.
And over 10 years, that's 200 unique players. Well, how many new, to put that in perspective, how many new unique players have you encountered over, say, the past 10 years?
Maybe 3, but again,
200, yeah, 200 here. So,
yeah.
and it's an average. That's an average.
Hmm.
So that's what I mean by that's why I can say that, yeah, I've encountered some of these unique individuals. I'll say it that way. So from my perspective, I don't know that would be overly the consent element would be overly used. Now, given I haven't read the whole book yet, so I mean, maybe there's a lot more in it that we just haven't seen yet. But I will say that, God damn, the white books alone, just, I mean, as a whole, honestly, it really makes me want to just completely drop D&D and shift over to that. I mean, it really, really does. Because I mean, I think the only element to it that I'm not keen on, that I think D&D edges out over, and I want you to correct me here if I'm wrong, D&D has such a rich history of lore that's astounding. I know it's easy enough for me to come up with my own lore, but having a common lore, like if I were to bring up, if you and I wanted to sit down next week or at any point and have a 3-hour live stream of the history of Vecna, we've got a common ground. You know the history of Vecna. I know the history of Vecna. We could sit down and have a common ground discussion about that history. Whereas if I just created it on my side, you created it on your side, we could still have a conversation, but there's going to be incongruities there, in that history, in that lore. And so that's the one thing that I don't know that the white books accomplish is lore building. It's the impression I get is that they kind of more leave that up to you and your players to craft the lore on your own.
I will say this, right? So you remember during 3.5 how D&D released completes, like
Yes.
complete warrior, complete divine, things like that. I would compare Cypher Systems white books more to that.
Gotcha.
They're not building like lore in for a setting, they're providing you with options.
Gotcha.
And I mean, this is why like you have settings like The Strange, Unmasked, Numenera, Perdition, there's a couple more, that like MCG and the Cypher system is kind of built around and for. These are just things that you can plug into them or customize for your own game kind of thing. But yeah, I get that this is a 10-year-old product, essentially.
Right.
It doesn't have the lore or that base for like you and I to be like, let's discuss the Amber obelisk. You're going to be like, the fuck is that?
That's exactly what's going through my mind right now. What is that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different to comparing. Hey, you know that thing from the 70s, Vecna? Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that's one aspect in which I think MCG is behind from like WotC and D&D, is that it's not just that D&D has a head start on lore. It's that, well, it's also that WotC has a Hasbro money to market.
Right.
That does a lot. Let's be fair,
Yeah.
that does a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you can just like chuck your books at Target and sell them at Target, and
Sure.
everyone else has to, go to a specialized hobby store or go to the manufacturer's or the dev's online store. It limits that spread. You're not going to see Cypher System come up in an ad.
Right. Do any of their books contain maps?
A lot of them.
Okay. Like a okay, so like words are failing me, and I apologize, guys. Like a Forgotten Realms type map, where it's an entire area, or Dragonlance, where it's like an entire area. Or Greyhawk, something like that.
So Numenera has the entire map of the entire supercontinent, with only these spots where stuff has happened being detailed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's okay.
Which is, I kind of love that take, because it kind of means the rest of the world is your playground and you can do whatever the fuck you want with it, which is really, really awesome. But like, you go to Perdition, for example, it has a map of the what's that called? The Gulf of Mexico area. Oh, I'm sorry, the Gulf of America.
No,
area.
It's Gulf of Mexico.
Basically where the asteroid hit.
Yeah.
That wiped out the dinosaurs. Yucatan Peninsula. That's it. It's got a map of that pre-asteroid impact, because Perdition is set around that time period, because it's a time-traveled adventure.
Okay.
And so it's a map of that whole region, and you've then got the dinosaurs, you've then got the time travelers there, and so it's basically Dino Riders.
Gotcha.
Which it's a lot of fun. But yeah, like they've got a whole peninsula map laid out as it would have been from Jurassic, Cretaceous, whatever, that period of dinosaurs. It's got that whole region as it was then, or estimated.
Right.
And they've got a map. Unmasked has a map of the school and the surrounding city that it's part of.
Does Neon have any? I didn't see anything, but
I don't think I have.
I mean, I would assume it has like maybe a city layout or something.
It does have a small one in here. It doesn't have a big giant fold out one.
I'm just curious. I mean, I know that that's totally not on topic, but so to bring it back to topic, is this the first white book that has any kind of a consent? I don't want to call it warning, but consent verbiage in it?
No.
Okay.
The horror one had it.
Gotcha.
The fantasy one had it. High Noon at Midnight had it. That one, however, specified how the kind of setting is inspired by the Wild West 1800s time period, and that it is not encouraging of the discrimination of, you know, the indigenous peoples
Gotcha.
of the time.
Gotcha.
And it's also not trying to like take away cultural aspects or things like
Right,
that.
right.
But it's once. It's just once in there
Yeah,
in the book.
yeah.
It's not
I gotcha.
addressing several times. And that's kind of the difference, where in those previous books, even in the horror book, it's basically one right up at the front. And it's like, hey, this is a book of horror.
Right. This is what you can expect. Yeah. Yeah.
Ever seen a slasher movie? Ever seen anything where
I don't know. I'm still stuck on slut water. I mean, I mean, just for that alone, that one item alone, that makes me want to get this book. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. Does it have mature themes? Yeah, it does. And I think T and Tori brought up a couple of things in the chat. And specifically, it was a lot of time, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it's basically parents are not experienced role-playing people. They're new to it or don't know anything about it at all. And they're going to pick a book up for their kid. Yeah. And it's just more in the book to say, hey, just a heads up. Now, I could understand that if it was just, you know, in the first few pages. Sure. That would be more for the parent, you know?
And it's funny because I've actually, in my conclusion section for my video, I've even got in there, because I realized that my review section, my discussion section of the video was going out of control. So I ended up writing the conclusion section.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I sometimes have to do that too. Yeah. I get it.
And I literally I've done up a mock of what I would have put. So basically, hold on, I will just pop back here. I've literally done up a mock. So, okay. So front page, right? Instead of having like this and then this, which this is cool and everything, but you'll see them later in the book. What I would have done here is instead put up a, like, just in the same style as, like, you know, this. And in here, have up content warning in like red, as if it's like a pop-up thing that's come up, and then like point out, hey, inside this book, like, so it's literally on the inside of the cover, hey, this book is going to contain, you know, sex, drugs, violence,
rock and roll,
dystopian, rock and roll, all the fun stuff that you know and love. You know, readers' discretion is advised, right? And that's all they really needed, right? Just right inside the front cover, because you will see that and either go, you know, actually mention, like, you know, the body dysmorphia, the, you know, violence aspect, you know, that type of stuff. And then it's right there on the inside so that you know, hey, whether this book is going to be for you. Because either that is going to tell you, that kind of stuff, I don't think that's going to be for me. Or you're going to go, well, I'm already sold. Let's take this book.
Yeah. I wonder if they didn't put it in there because that's kind of not the focus of it. I mean, be honest with you. I mean, I'm looking at it because, you know, I'm a dude and, you know, I'm horny and, you know, that kind of stuff. But even though I don't include sexual type stuff in my game, the fact that slut water, you know, the member of 2000, whatever, is included in it. I mean, that I don't have to have that in my game. That's, you know, plain and simple. But it is there as an option, and I get that. That alone wouldn't detract me from buying it. Because I mean, I'm mature enough to make that decision for myself. I'm mature enough to be able to flip through the book and decide, yeah, I don't need to use that element of it. Or, oh yeah, I see slut water. Okay, how can I exploit this? Or, oh, a member 2000, let's make a member 20,000. So the options are there, but I don't know. I just
or member 20,000 leagues under the sea.
That's what happens when you drink too much slut water. But yeah, so it's, I don't know. I wonder if they didn't put that on that page because that's not the core focus of the book. Those are elements in the book, sure. And I think it's kind of more of a reminder. I don't know. That's just how I'm seeing it, as it's more of a reminder to those that are on that edge of wanting to get their rocks off or wanting to take it a step further than it needs to be taken. Of course, everybody else's mileage may vary, but I wonder if that's why they didn't include it, because that's just not the core focus of it, of the book. Personally, I like the mature themes that are presented that we've looked at that are in it.
Yeah.
I think that it does encapsulate what I would consider to be the traditional feel of the cyberpunk genre. And I'm going back to okay, it's not as gritty or as grim as Shadow Dark was. I mean, Shadow Dark was just flat out. I have played in a Shadow Dark game that was just flat out totally abusive. And I mean, in any way you can consider. And I'll be honest, I mean, it was fun, for its time. I mean, this was late, I don't know, maybe early 90s, 92, 93, maybe. We certainly didn't have consensual warnings back then. It was just, as a player, and this was me as a player, not me running it. Just sat down and, okay, this is what happens. Oh, okay. I wasn't quite prepared for this, but okay.
Yeah. I'm going to phrase that as grape. That's how one of my Shadowrun characters felt when their soul got graped by a insect spirit while in Bug City. And then that character died.
Sure.
Because, their body exploded and an insect spirit came out. So, tends to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's typical Shadowrun. I said Shadow Dark earlier, Shadowrun. To me, that's typical Shadowrun stuff. And listen, if that's what I wanted to play, that's the game I'd play. It sounds like this one from Monty Cook Games is, while it's pulled inspiration from, it's also trying to be its own unique game. And as I said earlier, I mean, that's I think one of the appeals that I have of the whole White Book setting or series. Because you can, to quote Westworld, in this world, you can be whatever the fuck you want.
And hey, the previous book, well, you can be a cowboy.
Yes.
You can literally Westworld.
Yes.
And have gun battles with the Chupacabra or a Wendigo or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Aegis Vivarium says you have to read the room and know your audience, and I think that's very apt for something like this too. I mean, and I think it's something simple. I mean, okay, guys, hey, me, you, and you. This is the idea I want to do. I want to run a cyberpunk game, It's going to have elements of violence. It's going to have elements of sex. It's going to have elements of body modification. Are you in? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. Doesn't have to be any more complex than that.
Yeah. And I mean,
like,
no, you go.
No, I was going to say, like what Goths has said. I don't want someone telling me how I need to run a game.
Mm.
You know, and so to that extent, I mean, I think I said it earlier. I'm going to side with you on this one. I think having just one little blurb of consensual stuff as a heads up in a book like this, fine. I don't see any issues with that at all.
Mm.
To cram it down your throat every 5 pages, that's excessive.
Mm. Also, I just noticed that GOTS isn't coming up in the chat on the side for me. And I don't know why.
He was earlier. He may not be in here now. Well, that's kind of odd. Yeah, I'm not seeing him now.
I'm going to have to look and see if... I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to work Restream half the time.
I know.
But yeah, no, I also feel like it comes down to, you know, as pointed out before, you know, is this like a regional country?
I think that's got some of it.
Cultural aspect.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
I mean, I'm not going to say that Australia has a perfect mental health system or anything like that, but like, you know, there's literally a free walk-in mental health clinic like 20 minutes down the road, walking distance.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah. So like it feels a bit different, like I guess from that cultural aspect of it. But yeah, I don't know. I will have to.
Let me ask this, because we've been blathering on for about an hour and a half now. Let me ask this: has this parlay back and forth gotten some of that out of the system, out of your system, to be able to do the review without the rants?
Yes, I reckon it has, because I feel like I've touched on my reoccurring issues with the book that don't really have anything to do with like the meat and potatoes of the book.
Well, I can say this. I had a small inkling idea based on something that you had posted in Discord about what this was going to be about. I specifically did not look up anything about the book because I wanted to go into this this chat with you completely as blind as I could. I will say that in all of this chat back and forth about it, I'm able to separate and put the book into different little compartments, right? As a whole, putting all those compartments together, it's just what we have talked about, regardless of consent or anything. It's convinced me that it's a book that I kind of want to have in my library. That says something, because I have never run a Cyberpunk game. I don't know that I ever would, but like I said, I mean, I'm almost at the point where I just want to. Y'all are hearing it here first. I'm almost at the point where I want to ditch D&D. I'm having a lot of fun playing other games like Morkborg, Shadow Dark, Dragonbane. You know, those are all very simplistic systems, though. They don't take much to pick up and play. For something that's got a bit more crunch, well, I've even checked out, some smaller independent games, and I've done some of those on the channel. But for a game that has a touch more crunch, I don't know. I mean, the white books kind of fill that for me. So I appreciate you having me on to talk about it. I don't want to say I'm a complete converted player just yet, but
well, it was never about
right. No, it's about getting information out there. Yeah. So I mean, I've definitely gotten something out of doing this. So I'm definitely looking forward to your video. When can we expect that?
Definitely not this week, because technically it should have been within the last few days that I should have got the video out, but because this issue has literally been blocking me from having any kind of comprehensive script write-up, I missed that opportunity. And unfortunately, this coming week, I'm having my kitchen repaired. And unfortunately, my kitchen is literally right behind me.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
Yeah, there's so I'm hoping week after I'll be getting the book out there. And I'm hoping soon to be getting new editing software, video editing software. So I'm very much hoping that the quality, style, everything will bump up from.
What are you thinking of?
Microsoft.
What are you thinking of shifting to?
Cyberpunk Power Director. Because I can get a what's that, 2023 or 2024 version, which is a full complete licensed version, no subscription or anything, what a lot of. So I'm looking at that. However, currently the best deal I can get for it is only like 30% off, and in Australian that's still like $120. So,
but if it's a one-time purchase,
yeah, but at the moment I'm coming up to like my next bill cycle as well, so I've got the quarterly bills. I kind of manage the finances, so I've got to consider that. But yeah, I just hoping to get a hold of that. I was looking at some other software as well. I feel like it's kind of taking me as far as it's going to take me, and I want to get onto some new quality stuff. So
Filmora is what I use. It's Wondershare Filmora. It is a subscription, but you pay it yearly. It's like $40 a year. Obviously I would love to get off of, something that I'm committed to having to pay year after year after year. But so if what you're getting, if it's a one-time expense, share some information with me about it. I'd entertain seeing other options. If you like it, I'll check it out.
Yeah, just double check. What's the other one I was looking at? Corel. What's that? Corel Studio, Video Studio Ultimate 2023. That was another one I was looking at. It had a bunch of other video editing software and stuff, kind of on par-ish with Power Director, but I found more discussions about the Corel Video Studio Ultra having accidental random crashes, and I was like,
yeah,
that could piss
not
me
something.
off.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I have learned, regardless of editing suite. Save often. It's yeah. I have lost, I don't know how many versions of what I've been editing due to, oh crap, I just don't know what to do anymore. Shit, just crashed on me.
Completely understandable.
Yeah.
Back on what you were saying, just quickly,
Yeah.
because you mentioned about D&D, and I wanted to just iterate that it is absolutely hilarious to me that there is only one online gaming store for Australia that is actively distributing the new edition of D&D.
Wow.
None of my stores from Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, none of them, local or online, have the new edition.
Wow.
And they briefly, a couple of them briefly had it in, but then.
So it's not an issue of availability. It's just an issue of nobody wants it.
Yeah. Like, one good example, one of the stores that did get it in, within 2 weeks, it was on clearance. And it stayed. So, again, in Australian, $110 it was selling for. It went on clearance for $40.
Oh, wow.
And it still took 3 weeks for the stock to disappear.
Wow.
Australians just don't give a shit about D&D anymore. The trend has faded, and they're now restocking Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder,
Right.
Shadowrun. Yeah, all the other ones are kind of being restocked again.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny that D&D is, or the new edition of D&D has officially died in Australia, and we get more options back again. Yay!
Well, and I like options.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an avid fan of Dungeons and Dragons. Let me be very clear on that. I'm an avid fan of the game. Okay, not necessarily the system, and certainly not the company or entity behind it. AD&D, that's always going to be, my preferred setting to play. Well, let me not say setting.
Edition.
Edition, thank you. But even then, it's not a true AD&D edition that I play at my table. It's a mishmash of various settings. I would say one of these days I need to sit my ass down and actually write out the mechanics that we use, the rules that we use. But that would be so fruitless because it's always changing, and the white books, for example, when I sit down to play it, I guarantee you that the moment I crack open the very first book, red book, whatever, to absorb the core rules, I still wouldn't be playing that game. In my mind, I'm still playing a version of D&D, even though we may be adding Wild West into it. We may be adding Cyberpunk into it. Because again, I'm going to be taking elements of past games that I've played and incorporating it into my current game.
And that, as we've had discussions before, that is exactly what original what we would call Greyhawk D&D was. It was like, hey, spelljammers, but also randomly gray aliens and a UFO. Like,
right.
Oh, look, you've now got a ray gun that's the deadliest fucking thing on the planet.
You have 2 shots, so make them count, but you have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, look, Vecna, bing, not anymore.
Right. Oh shit, he came back.
Oh, look, second shot. Oh,
Right.
now
Right.
I'm out, but solved the problem twice.
Let's hope he doesn't come back for a third time 10 years later. Oh, shit. Has it recharged yet?
I pull out the gun anyway. I want to roll a bluff check.
Right. Right.
See, like, and that's the joy of that kind of old stuff. Like, it
Yeah.
was. I think, in terms of D&D, it's become very specified to this medieval fantasy style when
Mm-hmm.
it liked to play all over the place
Right.
when it began. And
It
again,
kind of
that,
lost its way. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that also, that issue harkens back to what this was about to begin with as well, where Neon Rain, in its cyberpunk suggestions, inspirations, paints a very narrow picture of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't give you that wide pool of there's so many different things that cyberpunk can be, and you gave me Andor, fucking Andor, really?
Yeah, but they also gave you slut water. I mean, I don't know. That's awesome. It's ballsy, and I can appreciate that.
No, I'm pretty sure ballsy is a food product.
Yeah.
Just put those chocolate balls in your mouth.
Yeah. You say that as I was in mid swallow, pun intended. And so the 13-year-old mentality comes out.
Bear's always saying that we're childish, so
Yeah.
this wouldn't be us talking if it didn't.
I take back what I said about the mentally fragile. Maybe it's just those of us with the mentality of a 13-year-old. Maybe that's why those blurbs are in there.
Again, though, it would just make me and like all of my
I know it would make you just go gravitate towards it. Yeah.
Yeah, like jeez, I don't know. I think that's about it that I can think of, unless you've got anything you want to bring up.
No. I'm looking forward to the actual video. I would say treat it like I'm entertaining to myself. Treat it like a game company from the early 2000s would treat their game. Postpone it if necessary because you want to make it as perfect as you can. Unlike video games today where they push them out in an unfinished state. I would rather see your video come out in a very polished state.
So you'd rather I edge my audience rather than
Sure.
give them quick satisfaction.
Sure.
No.
Sure. Yeah. I'd get more enjoyment out of that. No, I mean, I want to see a more complete product, a more complete video, more in-depth review of it. Because I mean, believe it or not, I mean, that's one of the reasons I like watching your stuff is it gives me information that I would only see the surface of, but you go into depth about some of the more hardcore mechanics of and elements of, and that is what helps me to decide whether to purchase. I am not a fan of buying blind. I have said that many times over the years. And that's in this day and age, buying things virtually, digitally, whatever. I feel like that's what a lot of these companies are funneling you towards. We're going to have this book. We're going to kind of tell you what it's about, but we're not going to tell you the stuff that's in it. We just want you to buy it because of name recognition. And I'm not a fan of that. I want to be able to see it, flip through it. Amazon, up until a few years ago, had, when you went in to buy a virtual book, you could click here to read through the table of contents, maybe the first 2 or 3 pages of each chapter, and you can't do that anymore. So I'm not a fan of buying blind. And that's why I like channels like what you do, is you go in depth of what the book is about. And that gives me an informed decision as to the content of the book to decide if it's good enough for me. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I also like to try and address aspects in these kind of books from someone who is not American or North American, because often I feel like, and I'm not trying to say that Canadians are anything like Americans. I mean, you let a Canadian off the loose and, you get new additions to the Geneva Convention. But it's true. Hey, do you know why the Geneva Convention has lines in it about how you can't, booby trap food? Because the Canadians did it. World War One. Yeah. Canadians. Yeah, don't. Canadians are not nice people, let me put it that way. Anyway. I side tangented myself, didn't I? Sorry. But yeah, I try to bring a different, I guess, an Australian point of view to how this information is interpreted. How, again, that's kind of what this whole thing has been about. We don't really see why. I don't really see why all these warnings are necessary, because it's not really something that is as big culturally here in Australia.
Right.
I don't know if Gaming with ADHD Brian was around, he would point out, universal healthcare system, is it really a free thing, all that stuff. And it's I get the understanding,
right,
and stuff, but it takes me less than 20 minutes to see a doctor.
That's how long I was waiting in the waiting room Friday.
Yeah, it's not hours. It's not these weird horror stories that Americans think universal healthcare is. It's and no more than what you guys would be encountering. And so it's that kind of, I get where your position's coming from, but here's my position.
Right. And that's what I find important. There's too many people out there that are all about me. My opinion's the only one that counts. Mine. I don't like that, which is my opinion, but that's beside the point. I value other people's opinions. I value their outlooks, and I am influenced by what other people say about these games and these books that turn my head and have me kind of look at them, not the individual, but the book, or the game. And that's why when I'm going to potentially purchase something, I'm going to do research on it. I don't like to buy blind. And so by seeing somebody that has played this, or at least has it and is doing a review of it, I find that incredibly important. So, but that's just my opinion, man.
All right, dude. But yeah,
the book really pulled the room together.
It really does. Well, I mean, yeah, ultimately that's what I'm always going to be doing with my channel, just kind of trying to bring that perspective that isn't, the same one that's repeated 2 million times on YouTube.
Sure.
I mean, let's be fair, the majority of our community is American.
I need to look that analytic up on my stuff. I'm pretty confident that that's what the majority of mine is, but
I just meant in like terms of content creators.
Yeah. I got you.
But yeah, it's just it's nice to be able to have like a different perspective, a different way to address that, like sex work and stuff. Oh, you wouldn't like that's illegal or something. And it's like, actually, it's legal in like most states here. Or like, guns are everywhere in these kind of books. Australia, guns illegal.
Yeah, and that's an interesting perspective. God, I tried to get this show to end 20 minutes ago. Now I feel like we're going to go for another 2 hours. That is so this
bed,
this
but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, but that touches on the topic that you brought up. At the beginning of all of this was, is that topic of consent being included? Is that kind of an American thing? And with the guns being introduced in there, I mean, that's a big deal in America. I mean, and it plays on both sides of it. I mean, you've got massive groups that are like pro guns. Yes, we want our guns, we want our 6-shooters, we want to shoot everything. And then you have the others that are like, no, guns are murder. They're bad. So I mean, it's a topic that we're as Americans never going to resolve, and we're never going to get away from not discussing it. So having those elements in a book like that, 100%, it doesn't surprise me that it's in there. Food for thought. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up with a little bow. Food for thought. If that book, think about this question. Don't give me an answer now, but think about what the answer could be. If that book, Neon Rain, were to have come out from an Australian author, what changes do you think would have been in it? Instead of guns, would it have been a more harsh natural environments? Would it have been something else?
Something else.
Food for thought.
Oh, I can already answer that. We have put out some weird fucking shit, I tell you. Like flip-flops, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to say this. Flip-flops. What you guys call flip-flops, we call thongs, right?
Right.
You have no idea how weaponized Australians have made those things.
Oh, we've seen our share of weaponized thongs here too. Yeah. Of course, here, I mean, thongs have two meanings here.
Yes, I'm aware.
One is what you wear on your feet. The other is what you wear on your crotch. And to weaponize the ones that are on your crotch, some people just have to take them off, and that's the weapon itself. It just completely disarms you. The ones on your feet, yeah, I've been smacked by a couple of those.
But have you been thong food? Like kung fu, gun fu, feng fu.
No. Feng fu. No.
It really is an art here in Australia.
Like thong chucks.
Yeah.
No.
See, that's when you get the bike chain and you link the two together, and then you just repeatedly slapping someone like it's a Mel Brooks skit. But yes, anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this lovely discussion, and we will okay, this is going to piss me off if I don't address it. Tori, I have shot a gun before, okay? Just because we don't have regular guns, all that stuff, I have actually shot a gun before. I've been to the gun range, my uncle's farm. I've killed rabbits before. Like, yeah, I don't own one because I don't see the point. It's not like I'm going to be regularly accosted by anyone. Also, I have a big giant sword.
And that's not a euphemism.
I mean, it could be. You don't know.
It could be.
And on that note...
Well, I'm curious to see what the topic for next week's Talking Drek is going to be.
My kitchen is fixed and I can go back to making food and shit.
Interesting topic. Okay.
I don't know. Oh dear. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I've been Seraphis, and
I'm not.
You're not. Everyone remember to subscribe to Not's channel, just in case you're not. He is bigger than everyone else that regularly talks on Talkin Drek. But yes. Yeah. Oh, hey, guess what?